Our constitutional review is not just a legislative exercise, it is a moral covenant with future generation. That is how we see it. Not just a legislative exercise, a moral covenant with future generations. So we are not making laws for ourselves only, we're making laws for those who are coming on board. Just like the US. The one you made, you consider those who were unborn. This is not just a failure of representation for us in this committee, it is a failure of justice. That's how we say it. As a result of our wide consultations and the engagement with various stakeholders, this committee is resolved to add in one special seat per state in the Senate, one special seat per state in the House of Representatives at the national level, and one seat per senatorial district at the sub-national level. So, the current legislative efforts, I know that Black will always clap because Black is a true advocate of women inclusion. So, the current legislative effort that the House has adopted or engaged with, what are they to correct this imbalance? We have introduced that special seat known as House Bill 1349. House Bill 1349. And the summary of the bill is that a 16-year temporary special measure to reserve 182 additional legislative seats for women, 37 in the Senate, 37 in the House, and 108 in the state assemblies. When you break it down, what the bill is saying, this is the number. So at the state level, we are hoping to bring up about 108 across the whole nation. Senate 37, House of Rep 37. So this bill addresses systemic barriers, financial exclusion, electoral violence, and patriarchal norms by creating women-only constituency. That's what we want to do. So why does this matter? Global precedent. Rwanda is at 61% female legislator. That's a global precedent. South Africa at 46%. Global precedent. And they are in Africa here, our continent. So if they can do it, we can do it. So it demonstrates how reserved seats can transform governance. Okay, going furthermore, people will want to know what are the imperatives? Political imperative, social imperative, economic imperative. For example, economic imperative of this reserve seat is that excluding women costs Nigeria up to 9% in our GDP growth. When we exclude women, it costs us about 9% of our GDP growth. And studies have shown that female legislators prioritize healthcare, education, social welfare, and disability, or the underserved. Like I have one of the chairman of the committee in charge of TED Fund that is there, Prince Honor. One of the first roles she played in this house was championing disability. She was a chairperson there. So there are certain areas that come naturally to women, and we cannot ignore that aspect of the society, especially men, if men don't pay too much attention in that area. So we must leverage the strength of women in that area. And you know, these issues I mentioned now form the bedrock of sustainable development. When we talk about education, social welfare, healthcare, disabilities, they are the bedrock of sustainable development. That's a fact. Now, there are complementary reforms that also support this general achievement we want to make with regards to women. And we capture that in HB 1588, which mandates 21% ministerial quota for women. 21% ministerial quota. And also HB 1931 that reserves seats for persons with disability. Okay? Now, the question becomes, how do we partner with the U.S.? We seek the U.S. Embassy support in 3 areas: technical expertise, share comparative insight on gender-responsive electoral systems between our country and your country. Let's know how you have done it, how you succeeded. We're looking at advocacy. Number 2 is advocacy. Amplify stakeholder engagement with civil society, media, and political parties. I was happy walking into the chamber today and I saw Adeswa and her foundation carrying placard for members to endorse. And just today alone, she got about 30 endorsements. Her foundation, advocating for women inclusion, got 30 endorsements today. And the chamber was not full. That goes to show that the more we advocate for this, the more we make it more visible, the more people get to know about the benefits, the more people queue into it, and Nigerians will not be coerced into it. It will be willingly joining it, but only advocacy can do that. So we need the U.S. to partner with us in amplifying stakeholder engagement with civic society, media, and political parties. The next is capacity building. We are looking at to co-create a women's legislative leadership program to train future female lawmakers. One thing is to reserve a seat for lawmakers who are women. Another thing is to make sure that those who are coming to occupy those seats have the needed capacity to be able to deliver on the mandate of their representation, the expectation of their constituents. So we are saying, let's not wait until they are here. Let's start programs that will help to build, possible. And I've heard of U.S. programs. There are so many programs that you carry out to build the young generation. I think my chief of staff have attended one. I don't know if he's here. What is that program called? IVLP. Yeah? IVLP. He attended that.
She just wrote it down.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so we can use IVLP, to train more women, to get to know. We can also use IVLP to do comparative insight on gender-responsive electoral system by taking our people there and then engaging better. So you already have a structure. So we can now adopt those structures and make them to reflect what we want to achieve with this particular, because it's not about fancy. It's not a fanciful outing to just create a seat for women. It's impact-oriented. And so for you to drive that impact, you need to capacitate those who are going to drive the impact. And the only way you can do it is through this strategic partnership, synergistic relationship with those who have advanced in that particular field. And I think U.S. is well positioned to be able to give towards this aspect. And so we look at economic and fiscal reforms. That is also part of what we are trying to do with our constitutional amendments, building a resilient federation. A strong Nigeria hinges on equitable resource sharing, fiscal accountability, and diversified revenue streams. So today, over 80% of states rely on federal allocation. That's a fact. A model that is ripe for disruption. So who's going to disrupt it? You can only disrupt it through the legal instrument that is found in our groundnut, because it's not working. It's not working. When we were regional, there was more activities at the region inspired by that healthy competition to leverage where we have comparative advantage to push for economic stability, growth of the various regions. But now everybody runs to the state, to the center to receive allocations, and about 80% of the states are relying on that, and it's not as productive. So there is a need for the model to be disrupted, and I think the people here, the members of this Constitution Review Committee, they are looking into that. So what are the key proposals that we are looking at? The key proposals, you'll find them, one in resource control, under what we call the House Bill 1446 and House Bill 1512. So House Bill 1446 and House Bill 1512. So transfer of mineral water rights to states, with 25% federal remittance. So that is going to unlock $10 billion annually in subnational GDP. Let me repeat that. When we transfer mineral water rights to states with 25% federal remittance, what this means is that we are unlocking $10 billion annually in subnational GDP. That's a fact. Now, the next is cost of governance. Is it part of what we are looking in this committee? The answer is yes. So when you add 182 legislators, cost, it will be about 69.3 billion over 4 years. That 14.6 billion, which is like, over 4 years, if you calculate 69.3 billion on the national budget. So you contrast it with 1 trillion naira in annual revenue leak addressed by HB 1144, mandating public audit disclosure. So cost of governance is what we're going to look at, and we're going to look at, how do we block the revenue leaks? And that is why HB 1144 is addressing that. And what HB 1144 is saying is, we are mandating public audit disclosure. If you put that in place, you find out that we'll be able to save about 1 trillion naira. That's our target. So we want to use the instrument of our amendments to heal the country, to block gaps, to strengthen the economy, to build good governance, to increase transparency, to increase accountability. So we're not just writing them as letters. We are comparing them against numbers of impacts that we're expecting, so in numerical form. Now, revenue diversification is another thing we are targeting with our constitutional review. With constitutional review, we want to diversify revenue collection points. So we're using House Bill 2059 to do that. And House Bill 2059 has advocated for citizenship by investment to attract FDI. Yes, citizenship by investment. Where those who have big amount of money that will be specified by the committee or by the agency involved, could become part of this country through their investment. So that way, they'll bring in their money, feel comfortable, they are citizens, they'll be treated as citizens, and it will bring in a lot of money into our country. So that is what the Constitutional Review Committee is also looking at. How do we diversify the sources of our revenue through citizenship by investment? I'm sponsoring that bill in the House now, and I think my colleagues are going to support it for it to go through. And also we have HB 1406, and what it says is we want to empower the states to toll roads for infrastructure funding. You see, there is no need of spoiling your vehicles on a bad road when you can save more money by paying toll to drive on a good road. Overseas, when we travel, we just buy the toll tag and put on our vehicles, and that guarantees driving your vehicle on a smooth road for a longer period of time that preserves your vehicle, because the money that is being collected from your toll tag is being used to rebuild that road. So we are trying to make sure that states will have the capacity to achieve this. Now, on security, subnational governance, and institutional resilience, security and policing, we have a bill called HB 617 to decentralize law enforcement, to reduce response time, which is currently at 90 minutes on high-risk areas, to 30 minutes. So we are very mathematical in what we are looking for to achieve with the constitutional review. So as it is now, statistics shows that the response time when you have high-risk issues is 90 minutes, and 90 minutes is a lot of time. So we want to use the instrument of our constitution to reduce it to 30 minutes. If we unbundle decentralized law enforcement in our country. And we welcome the U.S. expertise on oversight mechanisms, because we know you are very good with regards to the management of cases in your municipal and state level, not just the federal issues. So you have your federal police, you have the state police, you have your municipal police, and your response time when there is an issue is far less than 30 minutes. Yeah, and how you have achieved that, we want to come and interact. So my committee will be visiting the U.S. on a study tour. If we get the support of your establishment to come and ask questions, do research, find out how did you get it done? How did you craft your law to make this happen? What are other consequential amendments with regards to other important, relevant, related laws in your country that will inform us as legislators that after making the ground norm to take a particular foundational structure, the consequential amendment that will go to other legislative instruments that will reflect the intention of the legislators and the framing of the provisions in the Constitution will be achievable. So those are the kind of engagement that we want to have with you when we visit the U.S. or in the training. It could be done here. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the transfer of the knowledge, not where it is transferred from. It could be transferred in your embassy. We could organize it locally, but we want to know how did you make it happen so that we can also partner with you. Yeah. The next is traditional institutions, and we are thinking of formalizing rules for monarchs, with regards to conflict resolutions, leveraging their grassroots influence. Whether we like it or not, the president may not be as influential as the next emir or the next oba or the next eze, or the next obong in the rural community. So there are people that may not get to see the president in their lifetime, even though he's their president, but they see their traditional ruler on a daily basis. So the centers of influence for them are those traditional rulers. So how do we formalize their, their relevance in conflict resolution, backing it up with the Constitution? So we are thinking of, as a committee, to integrate the traditional rulers into the Constitution and assigning roles to them to help to enhance enhancing national cohesion, national unity, and peace, which we believe will be the bedrock for prosperity for our country. The next we want to do, and that is being handled by HB 203. And then we have also electoral and judicial restructuring. That's another issue we want to handle. And this team comprises 13 bills, and collectively aiming to address establishment of local government, election commission, prevention of a dual position of party, executive, and elective office, structural enhancements such as the establishment of political parties, registration and regulatory commission, PPRRC, and the Electoral Offences Commission, the EOC. So, conclusion of pre-election matters and petition before swearing in, they are all proposed for our consideration. I know you're interested in that space as well. So this is what we're doing. We're looking at 13 bills. If you need it, we're going to give you the HB numbers when we engage. I'm sure you have that. You've done a good job. I can see you looking at your work, and I think my office, you people are working closely. That's very good. Now also on youth and governance, we also trying to tweak things around youth and governance, youth quotas. So there is a bill known as HB 1422, to reserve slots reflecting Nigerians' median age of 18. So that is being looked at, and we'll see how it goes, whether we can carry the youth and the women at the same time or do more of the women and let them come back to that. So those are the conversations going on before us now. Now, in your opening speech, you wanted to know how far we have gone and the work we are doing. You mentioned, very soon we'll be going for public hearings and all the rest of them. And so now, public hearing priorities and schedules is what I want to talk about now. And our partners in the U.S., it is important to let you know that as we advance our constitutional review process, the committee has prioritized broad-based public participation agenda. And this is through series of zonal public hearings. Because you know, the voice of Nigerians must be heard. And these hearings are designed to ensure that the voices of Nigerians from every region, they are heard. And they are reflected in our constitutional reforms. As you are aware, the opening of our constitution, the preamble of our constitution says, we, the people of Nigeria. And there has been this debate. At what point did we gather to be described as the we that agreed on the constitution? The only way we can cure that is to highlight, showcase the core fundamental basics principle of democracy, which is public engagement. Because it's government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It can't be, the people element is non-existent when their voice is not heard. It is with their voice that the government will be for them. It is with their voice that they will choose who will represent them. So if their voice is not heard, then you're on the frolic of your own. As a Constitutional Review Committee, we don't want to be on the frolic of our own. So we want to be close to the people, to feel the pulse, tell them what we want to do before them, hear what they have to say. We might drop some of our positions based on what the people want, because the people, they are supreme. Their voice stronger than ours. So as their representative, we are like servants. If we are not giving the right message, we go back to them to get what they want us to push out. So that's why we want to take it closer to them, and we have drawn up strategies to do that, to maximize inclusivity. The hearings will be held across all 6 geopolitical zones of the country in the following states. Northeast will be in Gombe, will be in Borno State. In North Central will be in Nasarawa, will be in Niger State. In Northwest will be in Kaduna, will be in Sokoto State. In Southeast will be in Enugu and will be in Imo State. And in South-South will be in Bayelsa and be in Cross River State. When we get to Southwest, we'll be in Lagos and we'll be in Ondo. So, the zonal public hearings are scheduled to commence later this month and will be concluded later in the year, providing ample opportunity for citizens, civil society organizations, professional groups, traditional rulers, and all stakeholders to make their voices heard. We will try to make it as quickly as possible so we can go to the next level, because you know, this committee want to do the first work, you know, on the Constitution completed within 2 years. And if there are areas to revisit within this administration, we will do it again. And one of the reasons behind that is that we don't want the activities to be so close to electioneering campaign. It will have an undue influence and characterization that will have the colors of political parties reflecting on them instead of the core intention of the legislators on the subject matters. So you find out that to take it away from such characterization, distances from the time of the electioneering campaign, so that they will be seen on the strength of their own and be so characterized for interest of all Nigerians. So that is what we are looking for, and I really want to thank you for coming. Send my regards to Mr. Smith. I was looking forward to seeing him, but David Frotz and Cassandra, I'm sure the engagement today will help you explain more to your team when you get there. So our constitutional review is not just a legislative exercise, it is a moral covenant with future generation. That is how we see it. Not just a legislative exercise, a moral covenant with future generations. So we are not making laws for ourselves only, we're making laws for those who are coming on board. Just like the US, the one you made, you consider those who were unborn. And that is what we are thinking about. So with the US Embassy's partnership, knowing how much you believe in democracy, constitutional democracy, and knowing your effort around the world with constitutional democracy, we know this strategic partnership, we can really assure Nigerians that the next constitution will become a beacon of equity, beacon of security, beacon of prosperity if you partner with us. Because the resources here may not be able to get us to the point we want to do it as thorough as we want to do it, but partnership helps to reduce burden. You know, and as you are a believer in advancing democracy, when we partner, I'm sure the burden towards advancing our democracy will be less, and we're going to achieve more. Let us move beyond rhetorics to action. That is what we believe. So, co-design a Nigerian-US Governance Innovation Hub to pilot reform. That's a call to action. We want to co-design with you a Nigerian-US Governance Innovation Hub that will help us also pilot reforms, host joint workshops on state policing model, like I mentioned, and gender-responsive budgeting. So if you say, what is the call to action? What does it take home from here? If we have convinced you there is a need for this strategic partnership, we are saying, let us co-design a Nigeria-US Governance Innovation Hub to pilot reforms, which will start with the Constitution, consequential amendments, and also the next one is let us host workshops on state policing models and gender-responsive budgeting, and also good governance. You know, we have subcommittees all through this Constitutional Review Committee that are disposed to attend to each one. Not all of us attended. There are those handling local government reform. Some are handling, we are about 60. These are just representatives. We are about 60 or 70 members. In fact, we put in all the women in the house. They are members of this committee. So some people are interested in be given the assignment to do state policing. So that is their specialty, that is their area of focus. So when you say, come to America or come to our embassy for any training, those are the people that will come. There are people who are gender. When you say there is a program for gender, those are the people that will go. If it's good governance, there are people that will go. So we broke them into these thematic areas that I mentioned to you. So it's not just like come one, come all. No, it is certain people designated to do certain things. Together we can write a new chapter in Nigeria's history and Nigerian story, one where democracy delivers, institutions endure, and no one is left behind. Thank you very much for coming today, and God bless you.